For the second video on solving one variable linear equations, we're going to be looking at some slightly more difficult problems. Though one thing to keep in mind while watching these videos is that the best way to get better at math is to practice. So once you finish watching the videos, you'll see in the description several links to exercises so that you can practice these problems as many times as you need. So starting with this fifth problem here, we have a divided by 5 gives us 5.5. So we know that we want to get a by itself. So a equals something. And to do that, we first have to get rid of this fraction and this 5 in the denominator. So one thing to keep in mind is that the fraction bar is simply just division. And to cancel out division, we'll want to multiply since that's the opposite of division. So we can multiply each side of this equation by 5, since we know that 5 divided by 5, or anything divided by itself, is always going to be 1. So essentially this 5 divided by 5 here, these will cancel each other out, and we'll end up with just 1a equals 5.5 times 5, which is 27.5. And 1a is the same as a. So a is this 27.5, which we can plug in here to check to see that the answer is correct. So we have 27.5 divided by 5, which you can check that on the calculator, and what you will see is that it does equal 5.5. So that tells us that this is 100% the correct answer. And moving down to problem number 6. So with this problem, we have these parentheses that we have to deal with. And there's really two different approaches. We can either distribute, which is what I will do, or since we have minus 4 times this expression in parentheses, and we essentially want to cancel out this multiplication, we could divide everything by minus 4, and on the left-hand side, it would cancel out. And on the right-hand side, you would just have 8 divided by negative 4, which is negative 2. And from there, you can solve for x. However, when I see parentheses and something multiplied by them, I usually will distribute that to both of the terms. So I have minus 4 times 2x, which would be minus 8x. And then I have minus 4 times minus 3, and a negative times a negative is a positive, so we get plus 12 equals 8. And now I want to get this minus 8x by itself. And right now it has this plus 12 attached to it. So to cancel out addition, I will subtract. Subtracting 12 from each side. Plus 12 minus 12 just cancels and becomes 0. And so we get minus 8x equals 8 minus 12, which is minus 4. And now to cancel out this multiplication by minus 8, I can do the opposite, which is division. So I can divide by minus 8. And anything divided by itself, or minus 8 divided by minus 8, is just 1. So we have 1x equals minus 4 over minus 8, and a negative divided by a negative is a positive, so we have positive 4/8. So we have 1/2 as our final answer. And you can check this if you'd prefer. You can plug in 1/2 here, so you have 2 times a half, which is 1. 1 minus 3, which is negative 2, and then negative 2 times negative 4 does give you positive 8. And in a later video, I can show you how to check these using the calculator. And that way you can avoid dealing with messy fractions. So now that we've finished number 6, let's move on to the last problem in this video. And again, we have these parentheses, so I will distribute the 2 to each of these terms. And keep in mind that we can't simplify the inside of the parentheses, which is why I'm going to distribution. Now, if this was x plus 4x, then we could combine this to 5x. But since it's x plus 4, these are no longer like terms, and we can't add them together. But, like I said, we can distribute this 2 to each of the terms. So we have 4 plus 2 times x, or 2x, plus 2 times positive 4, which is 8, equals 10. Combining like terms, 4 and 8 make 12. So we get 2x plus 12 is 10. And now to get x by itself, we'll have to subtract 12 from each side to cancel out this plus 12. So that becomes 0, and we get 2x is minus 2. And the last thing we have to do is cancel out this times 2. And we'll do that with division, since multiplication and division are opposites. 2 divided by 2 we know is 1, so these effectively cancel. And we get 1x equals minus 2 divided by 2, which would be minus 1. So we get an answer of x is minus 1, which we can check by plugging it back into the original equation here. And we have minus 1 plus 4, which is just 3. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 plus 4 does give us 10. So this answer here of -1 is for sure the correct answer.